I'm Craig Silliphant, the Movie Geek, and I'm here to talk about superhero fatigue. I won't be able to unpack everything in 5 minutes, but hopefully I can leave you with some things to think about. I grew up reading a lot, including comic books. People used to say they were just cartoons of people in tights, but they were more than that. They had relatable heroes, people that you could see yourself in. But for most of my life, you couldn't see too many of these heroes on the big screen because the special effects weren't there yet. We had Superman in '78, Batman in '89, and then finally Spider-Man in 2002, and these movies brought our imaginations to life, big and bold on a screen in a darkened theater. Then Marvel Cinematic Universe came along and did a brilliant job of world building, and, well, DC made some movies too, I guess. Less successful, but still cool to see those heroes on the screen. And of course, there were tons of other movies based on great comics and graphic novels, from The Watchmen to Road to Perdition to Sin City. It was a glorious time to be alive, a constant stream of movies based on the books I loved growing up. And hilariously, the same people that used to stuff you into a locker for liking comic books now profess to be big fans of these things too. However, the last couple of years haven't been going as well, and now the word superhero fatigue gets thrown around a lot. All good things come to an end. Is it time for superhero movies to call it quits? Hollywood, driven by its fickle audiences, does a reset every decade or so. Westerns used to be a big thing, then lavish musicals. But remember when grunge music came along? Heavy metal had become bloated and was just repeating its cliches, and grunge was the final nail in heavy metal's coffin, at least back then. Filmmakers have also come along to disrupt stagnant movie trends. We saw it with the new Hollywood auteurs in the 70s. Then it was replaced by 80s blockbuster models with films like Jaws and Star Wars. That was somewhat replaced by the rise of 90s indie movies, Quentin Tarantino, Miramax Films, and so forth. So one might think that a new trend will emerge and superhero movies can take a back seat, which doesn't mean they go away. They still make westerns and musicals. It just means they wouldn't be the biggest thing in our culture anymore. But the problem is, this could also destroy the very idea of movie theaters. Between streaming, crummy theater experiences, COVID, and other factors, the middle class of movies has disappeared. Modest dramas, low-key thrillers, even comedies, those things have moved to streaming channels, including many brilliant big-name directors like Martin Scorsese, who has his own thoughts on superhero movies, but we'll just agree to disagree with Marty. A movie like When Harry Met Sally used to capture the zeitgeist and make massive box office. Those days are mostly gone. Studios and theaters train people to only go to the theater for big bonanza CGI experiences, and now they're having trouble getting them to come back. And the movies cost so much to make that they need to make $1 billion just to break even. Superhero movies themselves aren't helping this. Their quality has taken a nosedive in the last few years. Like any Hollywood commodity, trends can get ruined by greed. They crank out too much stuff, or they dilute their properties with television, and they let the quality slip. Lots of these movies start shooting before they even have a finished script, which is a recipe for disaster. Lately, they've also gone down the rabbit hole of the multiverse, which can be fun, but it's usually just another expression of greed. Studios love it because they can pull in old properties for fan service using nostalgia to sell movie tickets. Is it good? It doesn't matter. It's got Michael Keaton's Batman and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which were terrible Spider-Man movies to begin with, so even nostalgia's a liar. But if they focus more on quality and not quantity, there wouldn't be this feeling of fatigue. We need more movies like Matt Reeves' The Batman or Spider-Verse films in recent memory. Movies that are focused on telling a good story first. If you build it, they will come. But greed always comes first in Hollywood, and because I'm a fan and a nerd, I'm compelled to watch these movies. I always will be. But now is the time the pendulum needs to swing back. If superhero movies and blockbusters in general die out, the whole theatrical model could die with them. Audiences need to demand more with their dollars, but they also need to be open to big screen experiences that value storytelling. While we're definitely seeing too many superhero movies and big blockbusters in general, it doesn't have to cause fatigue. I'm hoping James Gunn can do good work now that he's taken over the DC universe. He knows the value of good storytelling. And I'd rather one brilliant superhero movie a year than 20 mediocre ones. I want superhero films that transport me back to how I felt when I was a kid. Not the nostalgia of it, but the very ideas and values in the storytelling that brought my imagination to life. Not just notions about how a man can fly or climb on the wall like a spider, but how they deal with their lives and their values. How great power means great responsibility. You can get fatigued by anything if they throw too much at you and the quality sucks. If they do the right thing, we can enjoy superhero movies on the big screen for years to come. Studios and especially audiences do have great power, but they'll lose it if they don't also consider great responsibility. I'm Craig Silliphant, the Movie Geek, and this was some things I thought about some stuff.